Now, if you're a person of maturing years, own your own home and have a family, or if your parents have their own home, then what you're going to hear about in the next few minutes is going to be not only very interesting, but actually seriously important to ensure that the value of that home and any investments that you may have accumulated over the years ends up in the hands of the people that you want to receive it. And I'm not talking about creating a will here. This is far more significant. And I ask you, please bear with me as I explain this, because it really is important. Now, a high percentage of people in this country are homeowners, and that means they'll have what's called an estate that will be inherited by their children or beneficiaries. Now, because of property values, that estate is certainly going to be in the tens of thousands of pounds, but it's much more likely to be in excess of £100,000. But whatever the size of the estate, I can assure you of this: both you, the giver, and the intended recipients of that estate will want to make absolutely sure of three things. First of all, that the right people inherit the estate. And then secondly, that they get as much of the value of that estate as possible without it being eaten away by legal or probate costs. And then thirdly, that it doesn't get completely eroded by the costs of nursing homes or care for the elderly. So what I'd like to do is to explain just briefly why these are areas that need to be considered, and how through what's called a later life considerations family inheritance protection plan, you can easily and without complication or risk take action to protect that estate that you've built up. Now, to make sure that the right people inherit the estate is normally done through a will. However, this can get complicated, and it's also open to challenge, especially where there's a more complex set of relationships, such as if there's been a divorce or a divorce with a new relationship or remarriage, and where there's children from different mothers or fathers. And then in some families, there can be difficult situations occur because of debt problems or possibly even addiction. And it can be clear that in these situations, the money, the estate, needs to be protected from the likes of creditors or financial irresponsibility. Now, clearly, all of these situations can cause significant problems and therefore impact on the estate. However, fortunately, there is a solution, which I'll come to in just a minute or two. Now, even if your situation regarding the right people inheriting your estate is straightforward and there is a will, there's still what's called probate. And this is where a court needs to confirm who is to get the estate and then for it to be distributed. Now, the process of probate can easily take at least 6 months, and in many cases significantly longer. And nobody appreciates this very lengthy process. However, what they appreciate even less is that the cost of probate and the administration is typically between 4 and 6% of the value of the entire estate. And many regard that as being unacceptably high. Now, the third area of concern is the potential cost of nursing home care. Now, I think this is a conversation that needs to take place, if it hasn't already, in every family where there's home ownership. You see, wherever there's a property, the value of that property has to be used to pay for the cost of the care. Now, we all appreciate nobody actually knows whether that care is going to be needed or not. But with currently 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men now using care home facilities, it's a huge gamble, especially when you consider that the cost of care is in the region of £35,000 to £40,000 a year. And with the average stay being about 4.5 years, it's understandable that even the sizable estates can be decimated, depriving you of the joy of leaving the legacy and the intended recipients of benefiting from it. So let me tell you how we can help you solve these problems, and how you can not only make sure that the right people benefit, but also so the estate is not eroded or depleted. Now, as I mentioned before, the solution lies in setting up what's called a later life considerations family inheritance protection plan. Effectively, this is a legal trust, which becomes the owner of the estate. Now, what's important to remember here is that the trust is always controlled by those wishing to leave the legacy, with that control only transferring to the nominated people upon death. So whilst you're still enjoying life, you have the control over the trust and all the assets in it. So if you wish the trust to sell the property or to use the investments, you have the control to do so. In short, what the Family Inheritance Protection Plan does is to ensure that the estate will always be with and stay with the right people. There are no delays and no probate costs. And once the trust is set up, not only will it protect the family estate right now, but it can continue to do so for generations to come without cost. And incidentally, because the trust owns the property and the investments, the value cannot be taken into consideration as an asset when councils evaluate for care home costs. Now, the only reason you might hesitate to take advantage of the Family Inheritance Protection Plan is the perception that it might cost too much to set up. So let me tell you this, the Family Inheritance Protection Plan only costs £2,595 plus VAT to set up. That's less than even the lowest probate costs on an estate valued at only £80,000. And remember, this plan will not only protect the estate going to your children, but it will also do exactly the same job without further cost for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. This is a true legacy of financial security for your future generations. You see, this is a very simple case of investing a little bit now, not just to give you peace of mind, but to take prudent action to protect what it's taken you a lifetime to accumulate. So if you haven't already done so, please contact us and speak to one of our specialist advisors. They'll be happy to explain in greater detail and answer any questions you or your family may have regarding the Family Inheritance Protection Plan. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you.